I'm 78 years old, and I did everything the way I was told to do it. I followed the rules, every single one. I stayed patient. I stayed disciplined. I didn't take risks. I didn't chase impulses. I delayed myself again and again because that's what grown men do. From the outside, my life looks correct, stable, respectable, no scandals, no disasters. People say I lived wisely, but here's the truth that hurts the most to admit. Following every rule quietly cost me my life. Society lied to me in a very convincing way. It said if you behave, endure, and sacrifice long enough, life will eventually open up and reward you. It said happiness comes after responsibility, meaning comes after stability. That was the trap, and the first person I failed wasn't my wife, it wasn't my children, it was myself. The younger version of me who still felt alive. My son's name is Daniel. I still see him standing in the doorway, backpack on, waiting for me to finish something that always felt more important. I told him later. I didn't know later was teaching him how to stop waiting. For most of my life, I hid behind a virtue no one ever questions, responsibility. I believed being a good man meant being controlled, predictable, reliable. I thought being a good father meant paying bills on time and keeping the house steady. I believed love was proven by consistency, not closeness, by discipline, not attention. I told myself self-denial was strength, that ignoring my own needs meant I was mature. Every time I felt restless or empty, I silenced it. That's not emptiness, I said. That's adulthood. That's what it costs to be decent. And the world rewarded me for thinking that way. Promotions came, praise followed. People trusted me because I was safe, responsible, always available for work. I wore exhaustion like a badge. I told myself being tired meant I was doing something right. There was a moment when I truly believed I had won. I remember it clearly. Standing in a house that was fully paid off, quiet, orderly, everything in its place, no chaos, no urgency. I had reached a position people respected, a life people envied. I felt relief, not joy. Relief that I had done what was expected of me. Relief that the struggle had been worth it. I told myself, now I can relax. Now I can live. What I didn't understand was that life doesn't wait for permission, and by the time I thought I had earned it, there was very little left that needed me. Routine took over quietly. Wake up early, work. Come home, tired. Repeat. Days blurred into years without asking permission, and every time something inside me whispered that this wasn't right, I answered with the same promise. Just a little more, just get through this. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow became my favorite word. It sounded responsible, safe, adult. I didn't know tomorrow was where I was hiding while my life was happening somewhere else. The moment everything stopped didn't come with drama, no argument, no collapse. It came as silence. One afternoon, alone in the house, I opened a drawer looking for something ordinary, and I found it. A child's drawing. Crayon. Faded. Daniel and me holding hands under a sun that took up too much of the page. On the back, in my wife's handwriting, were words that ended every excuse I ever had. He waited. I sat there holding that paper, and the truth finally landed. The finish line I'd been chasing never existed. It kept moving because it was never meant to be reached, and the people I loved didn't wait forever. For most of my life, I hid behind a word that no one ever questions: responsibility. It sounds noble, it sounds mature, it sounds like the kind of thing good men are supposed to choose. I told myself that responsibility was love in its purest form, that showing up every day, paying the bills, keeping everything stable was what mattered most. I believe being a good husband meant never putting my own needs first. Being a good father meant making sure there was food on the table and a roof over our heads. I thought presence was optional if provision was guaranteed. That was the lie I lived inside for decades. I convinced myself the sacrifice was the highest virtue. That wanting more than stability was selfish, dangerous even. Whenever I felt the urge to slow down, to sit on the floor with my son, to take a day off just to breathe, I shut it down. Real men don't need that, I told myself. Real men endure, they push through. They don't complain about emptiness because emptiness means you're doing your duty. I wore self-denial like armor, and the world applauded me for it. There was a moment, very clear in my mind, when I thought I had finally won. I was standing in the living room of a house that was fully paid off, no debt, no loose ends. Everything was quiet, almost sterile. The furniture matched. The shelves were neat. I had just come home from work after receiving another promotion. People shook my hand that day. They called me reliable, a pillar. Someone younger said, "I hope I have a life like yours one day." I smiled. Inside I felt something like relief. Not happiness. Relief. As if I had completed a long, exhausting test and passed. I told myself, this is it. This is the reward. Now I can finally relax. Now I can be present. Now I can enjoy what I built. I didn't notice how empty the room felt. I didn't question why the silence was so loud. I thought peace was supposed to feel like that. Still, controlled, predictable. I mistook the absence of chaos for fulfillment. And then the wheels started spinning faster. Wake up early, same drive, same desk, same conversations. Come home tired, eat, sleep, repeat. Days stacked on top of each other so neatly they disappeared. Every time my wife asked if we could plan a trip, I said not yet. Every time my son wanted to show me something, I said after dinner, after this project, after this quarter, after this year. Just a little more, I told myself. Just a little more, and then life will slow down. Tomorrow became my favorite excuse. Tomorrow felt responsible. Tomorrow felt safe. Tomorrow meant I didn't have to confront the discomfort of choosing differently today. I truly believed tomorrow would always be there, waiting patiently for me to arrive. What I didn't understand was that tomorrow was quietly replacing today over and over until there were no todays left that mattered. The routine didn't feel like a trap while I was inside it. It felt like progress. That's the danger of the noble lie. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It tells you you're doing the right thing while it slowly removes you from your own life. And by the time you realize it, the wheel has already carried you decades forward, and the people you love have learned how to live without waiting for you anymore. It happened on an ordinary afternoon, no warning, no dramatic phone call, just silence, the kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. I came home earlier than usual because my position had been restructured. That was the word they used, polite, clean, as if a single word could erase 40 years of loyalty. My desk was already cleared. Someone younger had shaken my hand and thanked me for my service. By the time I reached my driveway, I realized something terrifying. No one needed me anywhere anymore. The house was quiet when I opened the door. Too quiet. No television, no voices, no movement. I stood there longer than I should have, keys still in my hand, listening. That's when I noticed it. The chair at the kitchen table. the one my wife used to sit in every morning with her coffee, empty. It had been empty for a while, but that day it felt different, permanent, like the room itself was admitting something it had been hiding from me. I sat down and stared at the table, not knowing what to do with my hands. I opened a drawer looking for something, anything, to anchor myself. That's when I found it. A folded piece of paper, yellowed at the edges, a child's drawing. My son had drawn it decades ago, stick figures. One was him, one was his mother, and one was me, smaller, off to the side. I had written my name underneath in blue ink back then, smiling, thinking it was cute. I don't remember when he gave it to me. I don't remember thanking him for it. I held that drawing for a long time, long enough for memories to come back uninvited, his voice calling me from the hallway, me saying, "In a minute," his footsteps walking away, me thinking there would be more minutes later. I realized, sitting there at that table, that the clock I had been racing against my whole life had never been about money or promotions. It had been about time with people, and I had lost. That was the moment everything stopped. Not the job, not the title, not even the marriage that had quietly faded while I wasn't paying attention. It was the understanding that the finish line I was chasing never existed. Every time I thought I was almost there, life moved it further away. And the people I assumed would be waiting at the end had learned, slowly and painfully, to stop waiting. I saw it clearly then. Success hadn't robbed me. I had volunteered. I had traded moments for approval, presence for praise, and the worst part wasn't that time was gone. It was that I had believed for so long that time would wait for me to be ready. It doesn't. You can rebuild money. I've watched people lose it and earn it back. You can rebuild a career too, if you still have the energy. You can find another role, another title, another place where people call you valuable. You can even rebuild order. You can clean the house, sort the drawers, organize your life until it looks calm and controlled. But there's one thing you cannot rebuild, not with effort, not with discipline, not with regret. You cannot rebuild the moments you missed. You cannot buy back the exact afternoon your son wanted you. You cannot rewind a decade and sit at the table when your family still spoke freely before they learned to speak carefully around you. Time is the only resource that doesn't accept repayment. It doesn't care that you meant well. It doesn't care that you were trying to be responsible. It just passes, quietly. And it takes the small, ordinary chances that create closeness. The bedtime conversations, the inside jokes, the simple habit of being around long enough that someone trusts you with their real self. Those aren't grand moments. They're tiny. But they stack up into a relationship, and when you miss too many of them, people don't always leave loudly. They just stop reaching. My son Daniel is a good man. He calls me. He checks in. Sometimes he visits, but it's polite, careful. He tells me the surface of his life. Work is fine. The kids are busy. Everything is moving fast. We talk about safe topics, weather, repairs, news headlines. He doesn't tell me what keeps him awake at night. He doesn't share his fears, his doubts, the parts of him that still need a father. And I understand why. I trained him without realizing it to live without my presence. I taught him that my attention had to be earned, that my life was always somewhere else. Now he speaks to me the way you speak to someone you respect but don't fully know. And that is a special kind of pain because it's not anger. It's distance. and distance is harder to fix than anger. And the world I gave myself to, it forgot me quickly. When I left, there were handshakes, a small speech, a few kind words, then silence. The machine kept running like I was never there. That's the truth about institutions. They don't love you back. They borrow your best years, then replace you without emotion. If you trade your life for that kind of approval, one day you'll hear how quiet it gets when you're no longer useful. There's another loss people don't prepare you for. When you lose the person who truly knew you, you lose a witness to your younger self. My wife used to remember me before I became the responsible one, before I turned exhaustion into a personality. She remembered my laugh when it wasn't guarded. She remembered the boy I was, the man I could have been. When that witness fades, your past becomes thinner. Your memories become less certain. You start feeling like your own life belongs to someone else. That's what it feels like to become a ghost. Not invisible exactly, just optional, present, but not essential. And you finally understand the price you paid wasn't money. It was closeness. It was being someone's safe place. It was the simple comfort of being truly known. Listen to me now. Not as a narrator, not as a character, as a man who is running out of chances to say this. I know you're tired. I know you've been working all day and your head feels full. I know you're telling yourself you'll rest first, then be present later. I know you think this pressure is temporary. I know you believe that once you hit that number, that title, that bonus, then you'll finally relax and show up the way you want to. I told myself the same thing for years, for decades. I know you think your family understands, that they know you love them, even if you're not around much. I know you think you'll call your parents this weekend. I know you think your kids will remember you as the provider and appreciate it later. I know you believe there will be time to fix the distance when things slow down. Here's the part that hurts to say. Things don't slow down. People adapt to your absence. They stop expecting you. And once that happens, it's very hard to be invited back into their inner world. So here's my one instruction, just one. When this video ends, close whatever you're doing and reach out to one person you've been postponing. Not tomorrow, not this weekend, today. Call them. Sit with them. Ask a real question and stay quiet long enough to hear the answer. That moment will not feel productive. It will not earn you anything. And that's exactly why it matters. I can't go back and do that often enough. You still can. If you're watching this and something in you feels uncomfortable, that's not guilt. That's recognition. That's the part of you that already knows what I learned too late. If you choose to subscribe, do it for a reason that matters. Do it because I don't have many years left and I'm trying to leave behind warnings instead of silence. Not advice. Warnings. If you're willing, write one name in the comments. Just one. The person you'll reach out to today. Give me your word, even if no one else sees it. And if you think someone you love is slowly disappearing behind responsibility, share this with them. Not to scare them, to wake them. Don't wait 50 years to understand this, because unlike me, you still have time.